Hey everyone, this is Andrew, and in this video I'm going to talk about vocal resonance. So vocal resonance is kind of an interesting concept because it's not something that you can necessarily teach directly. Just like a lot of concepts in vocals, you kind of have to just give someone an example and feel around and see how it goes. So this is no exception. So the idea of resonance is that anytime you make a vocal sound, you're going to be resonating in certain parts of your body. The way that sound works is that every sound is made up of various pressure gradients of air moving around at a certain speed. So you can think of it as a wave. So if you think of just a single oscillation of a sine wave, that's going to have a certain length associated with it in air. Sound moves at the speed of sound, as you might imagine, at least through air, which is what we're all concerned with. And so in a certain space, sound will resonate, meaning that it'll have certain points in the room where its frequency content is higher or lower, depending on the frequencies and the shape of the room and all that. And your body is no exception. So typically for lower sounds, what you might consider your talking voice or your chest voice, you're using lower frequency sounds, and your chest is a big resonant cavity, or it's the biggest area that your voice can really resonate in. So naturally, when you're singing or talking in chest voice, if you put your hand on your chest, you're gonna feel your chest vibrate, at least to some degree. It's not necessarily super intense, but it's always happening. And as you talk really high like this, it's gonna eventually fade away from your chest and it's gonna be only in your head. And there's a kind of a point in the middle where the frequency resonates more in your throat. So higher notes will typically resonate in your head, which is why it's called head voice. Lower notes will typically resonate in your chest, which is why it's called chest voice. Then there's kind of a region in the middle where it can go either way or both, and that's what's called mixed voice. And just to point out a little thing, head voice and chest voice are not really the same as full voice or falsetto. You can do falsetto in your chest voice or your head voice. You can do full voice in your chest voice or your head voice. So I can talk like this, all breathy and in falsetto, or I can talk like this in head voice, and this is technically full voice. They sound similar in a way, but the way that it affects your actual singing is a huge difference. So I'm not going to cover that in the video. This video is about resonance, and what I want to do first is just kind of do some vocal slides and kind of just show you where I'm feeling the resonance. So I'll start off with the low note, and then I'll slide up, and I'll just move my hand up as the resonance moves. So for the very first part of it in the chest voice, you can really feel your chest resonate, and it goes to the middle. You start, at least for my case, I started to feel like it was resonating right here in my double chin and my jaw. And then as I went up higher, eventually it started to feel kind of mouth-itch region. Obviously your mouth is vibrating and your whole body's vibrating to some extent, but most concentrated here. And then everything above that, I don't necessarily feel anything physically, so it kind of just drops off. But the way that I feel it, I guess, mentally, is that it feels like it starts to go here and then it just kind of just goes out of your head. And in one hand, resonance is very useful as a visualization tool, because instead of thinking about your throat and thinking about how you're tightening your vocal cords in certain ways to make higher notes, you're kind of just imagining that you're moving the resonance point up and down. And at first, this is very strange, and you're kind of doing it and you're like, this is kind of stupid, but over the years of practicing, it just becomes second nature. You don't even think about it. And eventually you get to the point where you stop thinking about, oh, I got to hit this high note, like that. You start thinking about, I'm going to hit this high note, So it's kind of a visualization thing, but it relates back to the reality of as you move up in pitch, the frequencies get shorter and they resonate in different cavities. And that's one way to think about it. Now, there are other ways to shift the resonance around. For example, if you use your soft palate and control it. So the soft palate, if you reach back in your mouth, the roof of your mouth is very hard, but if you keep going further back, it eventually gets soft. You can also do it with your tongue if you don't want to look like a weirdo. But you can raise and lower that. And if I talk like this, my soft palate's it's high up and it's causing more resonance, which causes the sound to be a little deeper because there's lower frequencies that can resonate out of my mouth. And then as I make it more nasally, that's when I'm lowering my soft palate and most of the sound is actually coming out of my nose. And then if you do that, you will get to, if I do this, I don't feel that much resonance here. But if I do this, I feel a lot of resonance here. And so that's another way you can shift the resonance around regardless of pitch. So I think that's pretty much it for this topic. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe for more, hit that bell to stay notified when I upload my next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
People will always find out